All right, so the Celtics go 4-1 on the road trip. It was that one pesky night in Portland. Going back to that Sunday night. That was the only loss on the trip as they take care of business with 3 straight wins. And now 12-7 on the road this season. It was all about Jaylen Brown. 50 points for Jaylen Brown as he ties a career high for the Celtics in this dominant win over the Clippers. Time to hear from Joe Mazzulla. The coach's press conference is presented by Amica Insurance, the exclusive auto, home, and life insurance partner of the Boston Celtics. Here's Joe back in L.A.
Yeah, I think that I got a couple questions before the game, just kind of about, him feeling a little inspired or motivated. And as I said, I knew he was going to come out and play with a chip on his shoulder. And after the game, I just kind of thanked him. I thought that was, an honor to be able to watch a performance like that as a coach. And he brought it on the offensive end, and obviously what you were able to see from the shot making. But I thought his defense was tremendous from start to end. And I thought that was one of the most complete games, that I have seen him play. And I knew he was going to come out with that, and, just got to keep it going.
Coach, Jaylen always talks about, he talked a lot about how much he respects Kawhi Leonard and what a great two-way player he is. Do you think that kind of brought some of that out in him, where tonight just taking on the challenge of defending Kawhi a lot of the night?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything, right? I think it's you're playing against a team that has won 6 or 7 in a row, that has found a hot streak, that is playing really well. You're playing against, 2 of, the great players that Jaylen has played against for some time. It's a huge mindset win because it's the last game of a road trip. Obviously talked about he didn't get, player of the month. And I just think all those things combined, just, a guy like Jaylen brings out the best in him, and he just wants to compete at the highest level. And you're always talking about team, and team is the absolute most important thing. But when you have guys that, still have a chip on their shoulder and want to be the best and are on the court with other great players, and it's a goal of them to come out on top. And I thought he did a great job of that as an individual, but as a team as well.
Joe, did he ask to guard Kawhi?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, absolutely.
They had to fire you up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, since I've been here, I get to coach guys that care about winning, care about defense, care about the team. And so he texted it to me on the plane. Where we come from, Sacramento, to here. He texted me on the plane in Sacramento, and I thought that was it was great. And I just think it's a representation of the organization, but also the leadership and what he does.
And then you're not a guy in the numbers, but when he has 48 and you bring him back out, do you just say, go ahead and...
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, tonight was a playoff type atmosphere, and I thought it was just an amazing environment. And and he even said it. He's like, you don't get nights like this. And I was like, and I agree. And you're playing against, we're playing great as a team. He's playing great. You don't get nights like that, so you have to relish that. You have to take advantage of that. And I thought he did that.
That third quarter, they kind of threatened to come back a little bit, and seemed like you guys had every answer. Jaylen especially had a lot of those answers. How would you describe the level of control he had over that period, and just kind of the level he took his game to there?
Yeah, I think defensively, as a team, we were a little bit better there. They got some pull-up twos there. We kind of put them to the free throw line, but I thought we had some important stops in that third quarter. I thought we just managed the game. We managed the game from the standpoint of no live ball turnovers. We managed the game with our offensive rebounds. We had 16 of those. They only had 8. So it felt like we didn't have shooting fouls on 3-point shots. Like, we did all the little things that can give you a chance on the road against a good team. And then I thought Jaylen did a great job of just, putting us in position to be successful on the offensive end. And, and he had 50, but I thought there was like 4 or 5 possessions where he made the right play on the offensive end where he could have taken a shot, but he didn't, and he made the 2-on-1. Luka got 4 free throws there because of that. He helped get Peyton going on a couple shots. So I just thought it was a tremendous, well-rounded game on both ends by him.
Joe, we hear a lot about Jaylen kind of playing with a chip on his shoulder. Is that something that you feel like is unique to him? I mean, obviously everybody gets motivated by being doubted, but is that something that maybe he does more than other players you've seen?
I don't know. I mean, I just think it's not necessarily, I don't want to speak for him. But, at the end of the day, I think as he's always talked about, even as a young age, he's always had something to prove. And I think that's, something that he carries with him. And I think that's a strength of his. And so, again, he wants to win. win. Winning's the most important to him. He wants to be a part of a great team, and he wants to be as best as he could be as a player. And I thought we saw a version of that tonight.
And then Jordan moves to the bench today, and then responds with a pretty nice double-double. What did you see out of him?
Yeah, I thought he was tremendous, 13 and 13. But I think the idea here is, like, he didn't move to the bench. We went with Sam because we knew what their lineups were going to be. We wanted to get off to a great start in the offensive end. We knew what their coverages were. We got off to a quick start with some of their off-ball movements, and it changed their matchups because we went with him. And I think it's a testament to the guys that we're always going to do what gives us the best chance to win, and everyone has embraced that. So for him to understand that, and for Sam to come out and play well, and then for Jordan to even give us the production that he did, that just shows, the mindset of the team.
All right, so there's Joe Mazzulla, and of course a lot of those questions about Jaylen Brown, and Eddie, you brought this up right off the jump, but Joe calling it one of Jaylen's most complete games he's seen. And the headlines ever are going to be about Jaylen Brown dropping 50 on the Clippers, but it was his defense that Joe talked about a number of times in that press conference right there. And the fact that Jaylen Brown asked to defend Kawhi Leonard. And the scowls are brought up there, too. It does sound like the Celtics took note of the fact that the Clippers have won 6 in a row. Kawhi Leonard had a great week, 55, all that stuff. So when you hear that and Jaylen saying and texting on the plane saying, I want to defend Kawhi Leonard, what do you think of?
He was saying he want all the smoke, basically. All the things that came together at this time was he got snubbed for Conference Player of the Month, right? And then on top of that, he's looking at a team that has Kawhi Leonard. He didn't put up 55, 40 something in another game. He want to guard those guys. He wants all the smoke. And I said it like you couldn't hear me, but if I was in the studio with y'all when he said to Abby, I want to guard. I'm the best two-way player in the league. I said, ooh. Okay. I like hearing that talk right there because that's what you need. And, from your leader got to show that he's a leader. You know what I mean? And he ain't ducking no smoke. He ain't scared of nobody, and he going to go out there and prove it. And I think that they did a great job closing it out because this could be one of them games where this Clipper team came in hot and they just like, hey, man, we just going to get home, and they lose that game. But they didn't do that. Nobody from top to bottom, and he led the way.
Yeah, and Jaylen set the tone. I think it was one of the first possessions where he picked up Kawhi and just made him work. The numbers will update overnight, but the early numbers from the NBA are Kawhi had 7 points on 3 of 6 shooting when defended by Jaylen, who spent pretty much half of the total time on Kawhi. That is like asking a ton from anybody, let alone the guy who's scoring 50 on the other side of the floor. Mm-hmm. When you consider what Kawhi does on a night-to-night basis, those are phenomenal numbers. And so ultimate respect for what Jaylen's doing. Just trying to reaffirm, we need to put a higher priority on what guys do defensively and respect that more, because from when he was doing it in the finals against Luka to now, it separates you from the other JBs in the world.
All right. And again, he drops 50, has a phenomenal game. And you also get, Derrick White, who had a massive first half. There's a lot to get into when it comes to this game, is my point. But getting to the drain of the game, brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when the drains don't flow. Here's another guy here, Anfernee Simons, who seemed to have an answer time and time again in the third quarter. He had 5 threes in this game, and he's got your drain of the game right there. Anfernee Simons, 5 of 8 from behind the arc. We're going to talk more about the three-point shooting as the Celtics put up some lofty numbers. The assists as well. And the turnovers. Just 6 turnovers in this game. Celtics postgame live is back right after this. 5:30. Tune in for our Arbella Early Edition with Trendy. As Trendy Casey takes a deep dive into the biggest sports stories of the day. It's presented by Arbella Insurance, here for New England sports fans, here for good. Let's get to the steal of the game, brought to you by Stop & Shop. With more than 10,000 items on sale every week, it's easy to make winning plays at Stop & Shop, like Peyton Pritchard taking it away and finding Anfernee Simons for the 3. Yeah, and this was back in the first quarter when, times were good all night. Celtics won the first quarter for the first time in 6 games. Anfernee Simons, 5 of 8 from the deep.
Starting lineup, just like you thought.
Yeah. Sam Hauser got the start. Celtics take the lead and never give it up. Wire-to-wire win. Thanks in large part to Jaylen Brown. This is the Turning Point presented by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Turn it around, take control as possible. The solution for weight loss. Reserve your consult at awaken180weightloss.com. Seen it a couple times now, but it's worth it.
Get a couple more.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown, with a 50-piece. Chris, your key to the game was order of wings.
So hungry.
Yeah, it was a 50-piece order of wings.
You know what?
It was different wings than you suggested, but
I wasn't sure that one wing was going to get the 50-piece. I thought he'd have a pretty good game, but for him to get 50, and then all the other wings did their thing.
They did. Again, Jaylen Brown, 50 points, and then Joe Mazzulla talking extensively about his defense in the postgame and the job that he did on Kawhi Leonard. More of that coming up on the Celtics Talk podcast. Chicago Bulls, Monday night. For the first time this season.
It's kind of crazy.
Isn't it? I mean, you've seen Philadelphia 3 times, Orlando 3 times, Detroit 3 times. Why not? Just throw Chicago in there for the first time.
So the Bulls are, just like they do every year, steamrolling towards the 9-10 play-in game. It's a tradition unlike any other. But I hate to say it, but like the first game back from a long road trip is truly one of the toughest games. Think about it. The Celtics will probably, I don't know if they'll fly home tonight or wait till tomorrow, but like you're getting home. You haven't been home since Christmas. Think about all the stuff that's happened since the kids have been back, finally going back to school. It's been a long break since they've been home. And now you got to kind of ramp it back up. And it's definitely not as sexy as a matchup against Kawhi Leonard and a Clippers team that's streaking. And it's not like playing in L.A. And so you've just got to kind of find some motivation. I do think being at home will help. Being at the Garden is always a good thing. But you're just going to have to find something. Joe's going to have to shake things up a little bit in terms of just keeping guys on their toes and making sure you get the best effort possible.
Well, if you want to win Eastern Conference Player of the Month for January, Jaylen Brown, that's right. You saw what 32 points a game wasn't enough for Jaylen in December.
Good job. You jinxed it once.
I did not jinx it.
You did. I literally.
It's not my. He was deserving of the award. Jinxie would be saying that, he's going to get 30 tonight and keep the streak going. That's a jinx. Just because they screwed it up, that's not on me. Celtics back in action Monday against the Bulls. Our coverage begins at 6:30 with Celtics pregame live presented by TD Bank. Stay with us after the game for highlights and player and coach reaction on Celtics postgame live presented by your New England Ford dealers. Remember, you can stream all of our coverage on the NBC Sports app and NBCSportsBoston.com. Celtics live stream is brought to you by your New England Cadillac dealers, the official luxury vehicle of the Boston Celtics. That's how the night started. Imagine getting an autograph from Jaylen Brown before the game starts. Then he goes out, scores.
You got to go try and find him after the game, right? And be like, hey, can I get a little update? Do you want to put like a little 5-0 on this thing? Little keepsake.
146 to 115.
That's a lot of points.
There are a lot of chapters in this one, but it was the Jaylen Brown tying a career high. Have a good night.